Hey, it's FeralInferno, and today we're back with another anime overview. And today's a very special episode. We are talking about Yu Hakusho. Now, I know a lot of people may not know a lot about this show, may not even heard of it before. Please let me know if you have, though, in the comments below. Let me know your experiences with Yu Hakusho. I'd love to know how you got started with the series and what you think of it. Now, where I got started with the series, towards the end of it. I remember this was back in the late 90s. I was riding my bike home, and it was raining out, it was storming out, and I was like, oh, I better stop somewhere. And I stopped by my friend JR's house. So I stopped by, hey, let's see what he's doing. He said, hey, I'm gonna watching some anime. I'm like, I wasn't really into anime much, but he put on an anime, and we're kind of just talking and watching it, in the background, and like, as it's going on, I'm like getting more and more into it, and I'm like, oh man, this is good. Like, the action is like on point, the animation's awesome, the music's really good. I love the character interactions with one another. It was just a fantastic experience. I'm like, man, what have I been missing with this? And that movie, of course, is Yu Hakusho Poltergeist Report. Such a good movie. I really enjoyed this movie. And what's really cool, as you'll see this artwork here on the cover of this case, is actually there was an advertisement for this in Wizard magazine. And I remember seeing it, and I didn't really know what it was. I just kind of flipped through it. But I remember seeing the characters. I'm like, wow, they all look, really cool character designs. I like, some, the different weapons they have, and how it's kind of a character splash. I really liked how that was laid out. So I was like, all right, that's cool. I'd check that out. I wasn't sure if it was a video game or a show or whatever, but thought it was cool, but didn't think too much of it. Who knew that not too long after that, I would be destined to stop at my friend's house during a thunderstorm on my bike, and he just happened to be putting this in his VCR. And yes, this is the old school VHS, of course. We still have our VHS. I went to Media Play shortly after watching this with him, and I forked over $30. And remember, $30 back in like 1999, 98 was a lot more than what 30 is now in 2012. We'll put what is for inflation. We'll adjust it for inflation. I remember it was $29.99 for Yu Hakusho Poltergeist Report. But I watched this so much, and I was just hoping that the series would come here to the U.S. because the series wasn't here. There was another movie which wasn't as good. It was dubbed by a really not great company. They didn't do a good job of the voice actors with the other movie, and it was only like a half hour long. It wasn't the masterpiece that was Poltergeist Report. But back in the early 2000s, Funimation, people who did Dragon Ball Z, had picked up Yu Hakusho. I was like, no way, this is awesome. They even did a contest on who the voice actors would be. I participated in that contest, and I don't remember if the Kuwabara voice actor that I wanted got in, but the other ones did. Because I remember all the voices, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect for Hiei, this is perfect for Yusuke, perfect for Kurama. It was great. And of course, I'm basing that based off of the movie, right? Based on the voice actors who were in that. And I'd watched it so much, I knew what they all were supposed to sound like, right? But yeah, the actual show came over here, 112 episodes, thanks to Funimation. Back in the early 2000s, it premiered on Adult Swim, and the DVDs, the VHSs, and later on the Blu-rays would all come out as well. There are a lot, and I mean a lot of characters in Yu Yu Hakusho, but the main cast, the very main cast, there's four main characters, and you'll see that in a lot of shows, right? There's the four main characters, but these are four really great characters. You got your main character, Yusuke Urameshi, and a lot of times in shows, whether it's movies, TV shows, comic books, whatever it may be, the main character is kind of a little bit more straight-edged, maybe not as interesting as maybe some other characters may be. But in Yu Yu Hakusho, the main character is not a straight edge at all. He is a middle schooler, and he is always getting into trouble, getting into fights. He's not, really getting along with his classmates. He doesn't fit in. He doesn't belong. And when I was in middle school, I felt the same exact way. And I was getting into fights all the time. Yeah, FeralInferno got into fights. We got into fights and just didn't really belong. I moved around a lot. And by the time, we kind of settled in to somewhere, in an area that we were living in, I just didn't fit in with the kids there. And just never did after that, after we were moving around so much. And, I see with Yusuke is that he was kind of, this rough and tumble guy. But deep down, he was looking for a place to belong, but at the same time, still kind of a loner and wanting to do things his own way. And then you got Kuwabara. Kuwabara is his rival, his middle school rival. He's a punk too, but he's got a group of friends. He's got a group of friends around him, and they're all punks. They're all getting into fights. And he reminds me of my friend Ricky in high school, because him and I used to get into fights all the time in middle school and high school and everything. We get into these brawls, and of course we'd be friends right afterwards. But it really reminded me of him, as well. He had some other friends that he hung out with I didn't hang out with. But we hung out and we get into fights, so reminded me of him a lot. And then we've got Kurama. Kurama, very cool, very fan favorite character in Japan. And he's got a demon, he's got a human side and a demon side, kind of like what we talked about with Inuyasha, kind of being half demon, half human. And there's a really great backstory and how that came to be. But he's got a lot of cool powers too that involve using plants and agriculture. And then there's Hiei. Hiei, he is the resident badass of the cast. Even though Yusuke is too, don't get me wrong. But Hiei, man, he doesn't take any crap. And his fights are a lot of fun to watch. He's a little speedy guy. He gets a little underestimated a lot of times, but he's pretty cocky too. He's got a really cool attack called the Dragon of the Darkness Flame. Awesome attack. And it's cool to see how they all interact with one another. They got all four very different personalities. And you're like, man, how do these four kind of come together and get the job done? But they find a way to do it. The character development in Yu Yu Hakusho is one of its stronger points. This is especially evident with Yusuke, the main character. The very first episode, Surprised to be Dead, covers an array of emotions. We see plenty of humor and angst with Yusuke in the very first episode, as they detail his everyday normal life. We see lots of grief and anger, and not really understanding what's going on when he is surprisingly run down by a vehicle and becomes a ghost. During that time as a ghost, Yusuke starts to realize his place in the world, and that while he thought his life was a waste, wasn't really meant for a whole lot, when he goes to his own wake as a ghost and sees all the pain and suffering his friends, his family, his schoolmates all go through, but especially with a little boy that he risked his own life to save from getting hit by a car. This first episode, even though I've watched this series for over 20 years now, still gets me a little teary-eyed. It truly is a treat watching the transformation that Yusuke and other characters in the series go through, as they go through their journey through 112 episodes, several movies, OVAs. If you're interested in the series, definitely now is a good time to pick it up. DVDs, Blu-rays, physical media is starting to go to the wayside. Right now, there is a full box set of Yu Yu Hakusho. That's a really good deal, usually around anywhere from $75 to $100. For a lot of content, highly recommend picking this up while you still can. One of my favorite moments from Yu Yu Hakusho is when Yusuke gets a much needed lesson in speech from his teacher and mentor, Genkai. Tell him that he needs to start biting the bullet and caring about something with all his heart and energy, and stop, essentially, half-assing his way through life. A very powerful message, and one that hit home for me as well. So yeah, that was Yu Yu Hakusho. A fantastic anime. I highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for a show that's really going to tug on all of your emotions. It'll make you laugh, you'll cry, you'll wonder about life, you'll experience, that inner journey along with Yusuke and his friends as well. 112 episodes, it doesn't overstay its welcome, which is great, and it's just enough time to really get to know all the characters and really care about them as well. Thank you so much for joining us on this anime overview. We'll have more coming up as well. I know it's been a little while, but we've got more anime overviews coming as we go along. Thank you so much. Sayonara, bye-bye, and please take care of yourself.